Hello, everyone. This is Stephanie of YouTube Tips and More, where I try to make YouTube a little bit easier for the newcomer and the more seasoned YouTuber. Now, here on my channel, I share various things that I've learned along the way with YouTube. If I had some of the advice that I try to have for people today given to me then, I think my YouTube journey would have been a little bit easier. I understood things a little bit more. Now, tonight is my guest night. My guest is supposed to be Felicia Marie. Felicia from my tongue is tied. My guest tonight is supposed to be Felicia from Felicia Marie here on YouTube. I haven't heard from her today, and I did send her a link to connect to come on tonight. I always send out, I've gotten my stuff set up this year where I send out an email as a reminder to let the person know that who's doing the interview or a collab with me when the date is and time, just to remind them. And this date was set back in, I think, November, I recall. So I'm going to go ahead and share a little things about what I have planned this year for YouTube Tips and More. Trying to give my guests time to chime in. Now, I am doing a new setup, and my nameplate hasn't come in yet. I ordered a nameplate on Etsy to Etsy to say YouTube Tips and More. So I'm waiting for it to come in. The YouTube tips, the Tips and More hasn't arrived yet. So as soon as it does, I'll start doing my filming on my turquoise wall, because I'll have everything set up the way I want it to be set up. And I'm excited about that, getting the wall set, get everything decorated for it. I'm really excited about that because I'm trying to step my game up a bit with my YouTube channels. As you see today, your girl is glammed up. I have on the makeup, I have my hair done, and I do have my jewelry on. And while I'm thinking, tonight's show is sponsored, and it is sponsored by $5 Jewelry Paradise, where your independent consultant is Terry Donald. Now, she does have a website to order, and she has two websites, one in a warehouse and one with what she has in stock at her home. So give her a check out. I'll have the information down below after the show ends, so you can check out her $5 jewelry. Now, I am getting a text message. I'm sorry. It is my sister. Okay, now let me get into my calendar for, thank you, Denise. So for what I have planned this month, the remainder of the month for YouTube tips, let me get my calendar for just YouTube tips. Okay. What I have planned for the rest of the month for YouTube tips, next week I have a guest host. And my guest next week, I'm not going to say their name because I don't want to ruin it. On the next show, I'll be talking about filling in your About Me section on your YouTube channel. I've run into a lot of people that don't have anything up there. So if you want to read about them and find out more details, it's not there. So I am going to be talking on that topic. I also will be talking on your banner on your channel. Also, we'll be hitting on lighting. And I also am going to talk more about watermarks. We all need to think about watermarks on our videos. So I have some interesting topics coming up. I have topics and guests lined up all the way until October. So I think I have one in November, but I have it already lined up till October. So if I have a guest invited, hello Nancy. If I have a guest invited, I will send out a email, as I said before, reminding them of the show date and time. And I also put on there Eastern Standard Time, Central Standard Time, so they'll know what time it is in their zone for the show. I also have the people that are going to collab with me this year on any of my challenges. I already have that set up and ready. I have my co-hosts for all my challenges. I have their emails ready, all the information they need, the cover sheets. I'm ready up until October, first week, second week of November. I've been working hard to kind of get myself back on track and get YouTube back the way I want it to be. Also, I am revamping my website. I've already changed. Thank you. I've already changed some things on the website, updated things, and I'm working on changing a little more things on there because I want to step up my game. Since now I have my area and I can do all my filming and whatnot in my office area, filming area, I think everything will be a little easier on me this year. Excuse me. I can do intros in here instead of looking a hot mess. Excuse me. I didn't bring any water up here. So it's just a lot of things that I'm working on toward this year, and I'm learning more. So the more I learn, the more I can share with you. Sure. Come on, Denise, join me. I'm sorry, y'all guys. I didn't bring me any water up here. I don't know why I'm choking. I have been doing a lot of planning and trying to make sure that everything is running well. I've invested in, as you see, a new camera up here, a new webcam to make sure that my videos go well. And I still have my same microphone. I like my microphone. It works well. So why change it if it's working fine, right? So also I have been I've been selective on collabs that I'm going to join this year because I don't want to overwork myself or stress myself out running, trying to complete everything every day. I still have my load up days on this channel. It will be on Sundays, and Wednesday is when you're notified about the topic or my guests for this channel. And then on my main channel, Creatively Miss Me, I upload on Tuesdays and Thursdays on that channel. So I try to keep it up and keep it going. And if I participate in the collaboration that's on another day, then I will have that upload as well. But I'm really working on getting my content together and making sure everything is in check for my YouTube channels. Now, here we're going to welcome a really nice friend of mine to the live. She is a wonderful woman, and her channel has just exploded. And she is a friend, a dear friend. And if you ever meet her, you'll know she's the sweetest person you'll ever know. So I'm going to welcome to the screen Miss Denise Jordan. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
I like that apron on the door.
Oh, shoot. I forgot it was up there. It's always there. But I'm like, that's one of my favorite ones, actually. That's one of our best sellers.
I like the colors in that. That is really pretty. I really like your apron line. It has really been picking up. I really like it.
Thank you.
and I'm really proud of your numbers.
You know
Your
what,
growth has been
Stephanie?
so big.
I am so excited about the growth of my channel. And it's like, you know, you and I started a while
Yes.
back, and we both been working on some things simultaneously. And I've really been trying to buckle down and just take care of the process,
Yeah.
try to take care of my viewers and not worry about the results, but just try to pre- present video that will serve my viewers.
Right.
And I'm growing, and I appreciate that.
Your channel has really grown. And I promised myself this year that I would do better because I put myself on hold for like 4, maybe 5 months when everybody got sick. And I need to get back on the grind and get my channel going. I know I've watched your lives when you have your guests on, and you have some wonderful guests and have great information.
Thank you. You know, I haven't had as many guests on the past year as I did the first year I started, and I love having a guest on.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I learned from my viewers is they said, whereas we enjoy your guests, we want to hear what you have to say. So I,
Okay.
yeah, that came out loud and clear from my from their comments. So I
Uh-huh.
cut back on guests, but I would like to have guests on at least once, if not once a month, once every couple of months, because there are things that my guests can share that I cannot.
Right, right. And I've been watching you cooking, and I said I was going to take some of your recipes and run with them. I
You know
did.
what?
I did use your macaroni and cheese for Thanksgiving.
Oh, my sister-in-law makes that mac and cheese every year at Thanksgiving and Christmas. And she said she was going to put that recipe on a card and give it to her daughters because she likes it so much. And it's a really simple recipe,
It
but
is.
it's
It is.
really, really good. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It's one of my best videos on my
Yeah, it
channel.
is. It is one of your top videos. That macaroni and cheese just took off.
It did.
It really did, and I did enjoy watching you cook. And the one thing I said I was going to try to get into that you do is the what is it? The bone.
Oh, making your own bone broth.
Right.
Stephanie, I have to tell you, I had no idea how easy bone broth was to make. And in one aspect, I did that every year, like at Thanksgiving and Christmas, when I would
Mm-hmm.
make the turkey, I would always add an extra quart of water in the bottom of the roasting pan, which would give me additional broth. And I would save that, and then I could use it to make dressing at
Right.
another time for another day. But then after I watched my friend Mary on Mary's Nest talk about how easy it was, I thought, well, let me give it a try. So I started saving the bones from like a roast chicken,
Mm-hmm.
and then most of all, saving the onion peels, the celery, like little
Yeah.
celery pieces that are just starting to go off a little bit, and saving my carrot shavings and watching the carrots, of course. And
Right.
then when I scrape them, I put it in a bag or in a container in the freezer. And it's stuff that I've already purchased. I'm going to discard it, but I can use it to make delicious, delicious bone broth. So, Stephanie, if you've not tried it, you've got to. But what I did learn though is don't use fried chicken, because if you use the bones from fried chicken,
The
you
grease.
can't get all of the breading off of those bones,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gives the broth a kind of a milky look. And
Okay.
then it's like, who wants to drink a milky broth? So
Yes.
I did that one time, and I just wanted to just pitch it, but I didn't because it still tasted fine, but
Mm-hmm.
it looked odd. So you just want to use a roasted chicken because then you don't have that additional flour and grease and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And then you just freeze it, and it's so inexpensive.
I thought about that during the holidays when we had that big roast bone left, and then
Hmm.
we had the bones from the turkey. I
Hmm.
thought about that, and I said, "Man, I need to make that bone broth that Denise uses and put that up." And
Hmm.
before I could get it, my husband had already bagged it up and put it out in the trash.
Oh, I have to tell you my horror story. So one day it was, I don't can't remember what day it was, but I was making bone broth. I had done everything that I needed to do, but I had to go out somewhere. So I left the broth in the pot on the back of the stove. Big old, like almost as big as a big stock pot, right?
Yes. Hmm.
I came home and my husband said, "Honey, I cleaned up the kitchen for you." He had cleaned up the
Oh
kitchen
no.
and emptied the pot of bone broth, dumped everything out. Everything was cleaned up so nicely. And I was like, "Thank you, dear." So now, if I'm making something and I don't want him to touch it, I'll say, "Honey, don't touch this." Or
Yes.
I make a point to put it away before I leave. I tell you what, I was just like in shock. But and it was funny because he could tell by the look on my face that something was wrong. And then he said, "Were you saving that?" I said, "Yeah, that was my bone broth." And then he went like this. He said, "I wondered about that after I dumped it off." But it happens.
It does. It does. It happens because they don't always know what we're up to.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my goodness. And I saw you cooking during the holidays with your grandchildren. I thought
Yeah.
that was cute. And she had on the aprons. I thought that was so nice.
Well, you know what? It's like, Stephanie, I don't attempt to walk up to the kitchen sink or the stove without an apron on. It's just part of me now. It's like I
Hmm.
always do that. And I'm teaching them to do the same thing. And they really enjoy it. And it's really fun when you cook with your children and then your
Yes.
grandchildren because you're creating memories for them. So I've got a little great granddaughter that's 3 now. And I told my son, I said, "Now you're going to have to bring her over so that I can cook with her because I want
Hmm.
her to remember some things like that with
Yes.
grandma when she's older as well." But yeah, I do enjoy cooking. And I'm trying to cook more on my YouTube channel because for
Hmm.
my young homemakers, a lot of them, they need those cooking lessons.
Right.
They need me cooking meals that they can feed their families.
That's true because a lot of them, I learned that a lot of ladies around my age, maybe a little younger, they don't know how to cook a lot. They they don't even know how to grocery shop
Well, it's true.
because they buy stuff that's really not feasible. You know, some of the well, you have to look at the prices and your pocket. And
Hmm.
if um, you like, for instance, a friend told me about a lady, and she's on here. Um, she told me about the lady that went to the store and was going to spend $90 on oxtails. Yeah, oxtails. And I'm like, wait a minute. She has children. You can't just spend $90 on one meal. That's too much. She should have went to something else. If she wanted something like that, she could have got beef tips and cooked a stew or something with that. But $90 on oxtails,
Boy,
whoa.
when you say oxtails, that's interesting because I bought some oxtails the other day and I only bought two. They were $12 for
Yes,
two oxtails. And I
yes,
remember when I was a girl at home, I used to make oxtail stew for my dad all the time. And I saw that and I thought, oh, I used to make this for dad. I ought to make this for my husband. So I bought some to make oxtail stew for my husband. But trust me, I bought two oxtails. I couldn't believe. I'm like, why are oxtails so expensive?
yes.
But my husband says, well, they're probably a delicacy now.
Well, now because others have discovered them,
Hmm.
the price has gone up. When
Well, I
it
tell
was
you what, I
just
only bought two.
us buying them, the price that
Hmm.
you could go in there and get them for like $3, $4. You could get, a good pack of oxtails, maybe $6. You have enough for everybody, at least have two. But
Hmm.
now, because others have discovered that they are really good, now they're buying them and the price just went shoot. And I hate
Well,
that.
I don't know if I'll be buying any more anytime soon. I'm going to
Oh
make
no.
this oxtail stew, but I don't know if I'll be buying any more because that was pretty pricey for two oxtails.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you're right. When you're trying to feed a family, you do want to consider what your pocket is. And with the way grocery prices, as Stacy says,
Yes.
the way grocery prices are going
Yes.
so high, you really have to think about how can I make this dollar stretch?
Stretch.
So
That's
one of the
right.
things that I've been doing more is maybe having rice bowls, and then you have like meat or something that goes on top
Yes.
of that. And every now and then I do like a meatless Monday. I used to like to do meatloaf on Monday, but now sometimes I'll do a meatless Monday.
Hmm.
Or on Taco Tuesday, I might do a vegetarian taco. Like instead of having chicken or
Uh-huh.
beef and tacos, then I might just do black beans and corn and cheese and stuff like that. And then we have
Okay.
like a meatless day
Yeah.
to try to help conserve some money.
Because I noticed the prices have really gone out of control.
Hmm.
Because I had to cut down on some things that I bought on the regular because of the pricing. Because it's getting ridiculous on the prices of bread. Have you seen the
Hmm.
price of eggs lately?
Yes, I have seen the price of eggs. And you can get store brand, you can get cage free, you can get, I don't know, the prices are just crazy. And I've got
Yes.
a bunch of eggs in my freezer, in my fridge that I purchased, and I probably got a few too many. I have some that I bought a bunch of eggs at the holiday time, expecting my kids to come, and they couldn't
Yes.
get here. So now I got all those eggs in the
All those
fridge.
eggs. Yeah.
So I don't know if I can still keep them. I'm going to do some research to find out if I have to go ahead and dump them. Or I know you can freeze eggs, but I've
Yeah.
not tried it. I might have to do that because I really don't want them to go to waste.
Correct. Because I overspent when my grandkids came down for Christmas. I'm going to be the good Grammy. I went and bought all these different kind of Lunchables for them to snack on. So they're going to be here for 2 weeks. I had about 21 Lunchables. They ate three.
Wow. Okay.
So my husband and I were like, okay, I guess snack time, Lunchable, lunchtime, Lunchable. So we've been eating Lunchables to get them out. We're down to, I think, three now. Three Lunchables in the refrigerator. I really understand why grandparents raised. Yes, my grandparents um, had a garden and he had pigs he raised. We didn't know growing up that pork came out the store. We thought you only got it from him,
Oh,
in the white paper. That's how we always got pork. We didn't know it came out the store. And when we first saw pork chops in the store, we were amazed that they were in the store because we always got them from my grandfather.
well, Stacy's talking about how grandparents used to raise animals in their
Yeah.
backyard. And my grandparents always lived in the city, so they didn't do that. But my one grandfather used to hunt, and he had
Hmm.
hunting dogs, and so they would hunt squirrel, raccoon, possum, different things like that.
Hmm.
And so they would hunt things, and then you find these strange,
Yes. I had a
different kinds
great
of meat
uncle
for
that was like
dinner and
that.
stuff like that. Um, but they did
Mm.
always have a garden. So it's like you
Yeah.
always had tomatoes or greens or some kind of
Yes.
herbs growing. And I do that myself. I grow a garden and I'll have tomatoes and herbs. And definitely I got some collards growing back there and some kale and
Hmm.
a few different things like that just to kind of help offset my grocery budget.
Right.
And I think that as I look at my editorial calendar to get ready for this year, I'm thinking that I'll do a series on, again, the kitchen garden for the
Right.
young homemakers.
Yeah, because I know when I was younger with my grandfather, I was into growing things in cans. So he had me coming with
Mm.
him to his big garden, and I had never seen one so huge. And he had corn and he had cabbage, greens, he had onions, potatoes, sweet potatoes. He had some of everything growing there. And we used to go, especially peanuts. We would get the peanuts
Oh,
and roast them. And we would sit on the porch and eat roasted peanuts. He always had roasted peanuts. And that's one thing I do remember with him is always eating roasted peanuts on the porch on a Sunday evening. But I do understand, like Stacey said, why they grew things, why they had animals, because the prices are ridiculous.
mm-hmm,
Because my father said when he was little, he said you could get a 25-pound bag of sugar for a nickel.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and we pay an arm and a leg for a 5-pound bag.
Well, if you just think about how prices have changed in the past 3 years, if you think about
Yes.
prices before the pandemic,
Right.
And then prices since the pandemic, they've really gone up astronomically. And you have to think about, well, how can I continue to feed my family on this budget? And sometimes
Yes.
when I go to the store and I see prices and I'm wondering, are people being priced out of food? So we really have to make um, a decision about the kind of food that we purchase. One
Yes.
of the things that I'm encouraging my young homemakers to do is to learn to make things from scratch. Make your own pancake mix,
Mm-hmm.
make your own um, seafood breading, and your own biscuits and things like that. So if you have flour, sugar, salt, baking
Yeah.
powder, you can make those things instead of having to buy them in the store. Now, I've learned to bake bread, but I don't just bake bread exclusively. I do buy bread at Kroger. Um, but if you can learn to do some of those things, then you can certainly save some money there. And then
Yes.
also to take advantage of your pantry before things go bad. Like I've got a lot
Yes.
of bread in my freezer that were either left over or I bought too much, so I put it in the freezer. So I need to make some bread pudding.
I have a friend on here. She makes her own bread. And she got into baking the bread and she enjoys making her bread. She makes her own pizza doughs. She loves to cook. The girl is always cooking something, always trying something different. And I like that about her, that she doesn't stick in one little box. She'll look
Mm-hmm.
for a recipe and she'll see it and she thinks she might like it. She'll try it and she'll tweak it, but she does experiment in her kitchen and she enjoys cooking so many different things. And if I could just get my husband off his one track mind, he only wants chicken, pork chops, spaghetti. Chicken, pork chops, spaghetti.
Well, you could try cooking chicken different ways, maybe.
Yeah, I stew it because of his heart condition. He can't have flour, so I stew the chicken, or I will fry it on the stove, but I won't put any flour on it.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll have a grilled chicken sandwich or something like that. Hi, Gigi. Hi, Stacy. Stacy's here
Hi,
every week.
Gladys.
I
It's good to
appreciate
have
that.
you here.
Or I've been trying to throw in different vegetables on him, and he does like fish. So I have made my own fish batter so it won't be so salty,
Mm.
because the mix you get is either so salty, and with him and his heart and me being a diabetic, that salt is not all we need. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of things I've changed up, but trying to get him to experiment on different things with chicken, and just let me experiment. Like the other night I fixed a stir fry with shrimp,
Oh,
and
yes.
I made the bed of rice and made the stir fry with my own ingredients, and it ended up being really good. He ate the whole bowl, and I was really
Mhm.
shocked. Since I have made a few changes in our grocery list, it's just the hubby and I, so we don't cook a lot. I understand, but that may change as well. Yes, the way the prices are going. Yes.
Well,
Everybody is.
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
When I try to cook now, because it's just the two of us here too, I'll try to plan for leftovers. So, like today,
Yes.
for example, um, I had a honey bourbon chicken that I put in a crock pot, and it was actually one of my freezer meals that I put together when I was on the show with Leona, one
Uh-huh.
of her Saturday morning shows.
Right.
So I made that today, but there's enough chicken in it that I can take some of that chicken out, and then we can have the chicken that was left over for either a
Right.
lunch or for another meal, and then I can change it up and put rice or something like that. I
Right.
was looking in my pantry, and my potatoes were starting to look a little worse for the wear. So I made mashed potatoes to go along with that chicken and with that honey bourbon chicken. And the sauce on the chicken was delicious on the
Yes.
chicken. And my husband was like,
Yes.
"Oh, wait, these aren't boxed potatoes." I'm like,
No.
"No, I made those from scratch." And he was like, "Oh, well, these are really good." But I thought, I hadn't been a good steward this month checking my produce section. So I threw away half of the potatoes. So I thought, I'm going to
Yes.
cook the other half of these potatoes. So I just went ahead, washed them up, and then made mashed potatoes. And there's enough mashed potatoes that I can either have mashed potatoes another day. But you know
Yes.
what I would love to try? And I've not tried this, but I think German heritage, they make potato pancakes, and I think they
I
make it
heard
with
about
mashed
that.
potatoes.
Yes.
In one of my novels that I read, and it was like a cloak and dagger novel, and
Hmm.
one of the heroines was German, and she was making potato pancakes for her family. And I always thought I would like to try and make some potato pancakes. So I might try that this week. Potatoes made, some pancakes made with mashed potatoes. I don't know if you serve it with syrup or not. I'll have to find out. Oh, so Stacy wants to know, can I do a video or two about empty nester meals? I
That's
sure
the
can.
topic. Yes.
Yes, let me, hey,
You got your
I'm going to put
pad?
that on my list. Yes, I keep a list of things that um, I want to do video about in my phone. So I've got a file called Video Ideas, and I'm adding empty nester meals to that.
Got you, Stacy. Because I was so used to cooking for 4 people, and then you have to learn to cut that down to 2. And some meals I forget it's just the 2 of us, and I may cook extra. Then I just store that for another meal. Like I have spaghetti in the deep freezer. I have some gumbo in the freezer. I have some, what's the other stuff? Jambalaya in the freezer.
Oh, you could send me some of that.
I'm trying to think. When I overcook, I try to save it for another day. And then if a day come where I'm not feeling good, or just the weather changes and my back starts bothering me so bad, I can go pull it out the freezer, heat it
Hmm.
up. That's dinner, and
Exactly.
that's good. And I've been doing that more, of
Hmm.
saving the meals like that, because I'm like, it's a waste to cook it and throw it away.
Well, you know what I try to do now is when I, like, for example, if I'm going to roast a chicken, either I'll roast the whole chicken, and then after dinner, and I'll only eat from the one side. Like if he
Hmm.
when he goes to cut his piece off, sometimes I'll go ahead and cut the chicken in half so that he's only eating off of one side of the
Right.
chicken. And then whatever's left from that half of the chicken, I'll put it in the fridge, and we can have that on another day. And either I'll do um chicken and noodles or chicken and dumpling, or maybe we'll just do chickens and mashed potatoes or what
Right.
or whatever, or something like that. And then I'll put the other half of the chicken that's already roasted now. I'll freeze that, and I'll use my vacuum sealer to get a good freeze on it. And then
Hmm.
the next Sunday or 2 or 3 Sundays from now, and I want roast chicken, I can get that out. Now the
Right.
chicken's already roasted, so all I got to do is warm it up. Then I can put
Hmm.
potatoes or rice or whatever I want to put with that, and it doesn't take quite as long to make that meal. Now, my biggest problem when I have a huge pan is like when I make chili. You can't make chili
Yeah.
for
You
two.
can't
You
make
just
chili for 2. You can't.
But what I will do when I make that pot of chili, I'll call my sister Mickey Blue Skies because she loves
Yes.
my chili. And either I'll send her some chili, or I'll put half of the chili in a dish and put it in the freezer. And then in a couple of weeks, I can get that out.
Yeah.
And then we can have chili on another day. Or you can use it on Taco Tuesday and kind of help
Yes.
doctor it up for tacos.
Yes. That's true. That is so true. And
Yeah.
I do with that chicken. What I do when we have leftover chicken, the chicken breast, I'll cut them up in strips.
Hmm.
And then for lunch, I'll make a salad and have like the chicken on top of the salad.
Oh, yes.
And he likes that. I love it. He likes it. He started
Mhm.
eating it more now. So I'm trying to change what we eat for lunch. And I've purchased stuff for breakfast that I'm trying to
Mhm.
keep low sodium, because he
Mhm.
gets up, this man gets up at 5:30. And Stephanie just can't function at 5:30.
No. Well, if I'm up at 5:30, I'm not cooking.
I can't function at 5:30, and he knows that I have insomnia. And
Mhm.
sometimes when he's getting up at 5:30, I'm just going to sleep at 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
So it's easy stuff in there for him to cook. I put the toaster where he can get to the toaster. So everything is right there for him to fix him breakfast, coffee, all that's right there. But then when I
Mhm.
get up for lunch, I try to make sure it's something easy to put on for lunch, something healthy that we
Mhm.
can eat on while we're both working, and then, have dinner going. Like tonight, I cooked stewed chicken, and I had long grain rice, and I made a salad with the mixed lettuces, and then I
I love
have
mixed lettuce.
cucumbers, mushrooms, the little tomatoes, and avocado, and a little cheese on the
Hmm.
salads, and that's what we had tonight. And I told him, I said, I'm full. I didn't even eat everything. I'm full. I started trying to cut back on eating
Hmm.
because stress eating can kill you. I call my leftovers my emergency meals. They're great. Yes, that's what they are. Good for those days when you don't feel good.
Well, the other thing you can do too with leftovers, and I probably should do a video about that, is where if you buy the right kind of containers, you can package up leftovers that you plan to have for lunches, like have them
Hmm.
individual serving sizes. One of the things I like to purchase when I'm doing my grocery shopping is I like to buy the Marie Calendar turkey and chicken pot pies. They
Yes,
are
they're good.
delicious, and the regular size is a good portion for me. The large size pot pies are perfect for a larger eater or for my husband. He likes the larger size. I like the regular size. But I have a kind of a quirk. Like if we're going to have pot pies for lunch, I want us both to have turkey pot pie
Right.
or chicken pot pie or whatever. But sometimes I
Time
will
to
buy
go.
those kinds of things, but I'm trying to get to the point where I can package those things up and then make my own lunches and put those in the fridge or in the freezer. And then when he says, "Well, hun, what are we going to have for lunch today?" I can pull something out of the
Yes.
freezer. And I try to get whatever we're going to have for lunch out when I get up earlier during the day when I'm doing my morning kitchen stuff
Hmm.
so that we can have lunch and don't have to eat out. I love to eat out.
Me
I
too. Me
love to eat
too.
out.
Me too.
But
We
it's
wanted to, but sometimes those prices when you eat out kind of. We went out and we went to this restaurant, and when the check came, I know what it is. I know what it was before it got there, and it still makes you go.
well, yeah. It's like you can go to Qdoba and spend a good $30. You can go to um, Chick-fil-A or even
Yeah.
McDonald's these days. It's going to be quite pricey. So I'm trying to make things at home so that we can have those lunches at home and eat before we go out.
Well, Stacy, what I do if I have to eat it twice, I sit it and I put it back and I wait maybe a week or so and pull it out again. And sometimes with meat or vegetables, I try to add something different with it to mix it so it won't be the same. Like for chicken, like she said, she does other things with it. I cut mine up for salads, or I take it out and I put it like a stir fry, mixed vegetables and rice with it to try to give it a different kind of flavor, a different meal, but it's the same meal you're eating. I always try
Exactly.
to
And
change it up.
that's what I was just looking for now. I well, I'll just show this cookbook, Stephanie. You'll recognize it when you see it, and you'll know why I was. Anyway, I have this cookbook called "Cook Once, Eat All Week" by Cassie Joy Garcia,
Hmm.
and she talks about doing that very thing where you take a prep day and make enough meat for the whole week. And
Yes.
then you use that meat or that rice or that this or that in different ways to make
Hmm.
different meals. And that's exactly what you want to do. And if your hubby doesn't like leftovers, then whatever you make today, you put that in the freezer and don't bring it out again for at least a week, if not 2 weeks. And then to
Yes.
him, it's a new meal. And then
Right.
you're going to use it up just a little bit and it's going to be
Hmm.
something different. My sister's husband, my sister's husband would not eat leftovers. So because he didn't eat leftovers, then the kids didn't eat leftovers. So she had to cook something different every day. And so now one of her daughters to this day in her family, they don't eat leftovers. So she's got to cook something for her family now every day.
They done every day. Yeah. See,
Yeah, so I think you have to
we
figure
had
out
to
a way to
kill.
use that food.
Yeah, we had to kill that. I'm not eating leftovers. He started that when we first got married. That he wouldn't eat leftovers. But what I started doing was taking them and putting them up in the freezer, and then pulling them
Mhm.
out a week or two later, and changing a little something, add rice or
Mhm.
potatoes or something with it and put it on the plate. And he never knew he was eating the leftover.
Well, exactly. And if, like I said, if you roast a chicken, particularly since it's just you and the hubby, sometimes when I purchase the chicken at Kroger, I'll go ahead and cut the chicken in half
Mm-hmm.
and then freeze it individually and put half in the freeze, well, put both halves in the freezer. And then when I get ready to use it, I only need to take out one half. Then I'll
Yeah,
cook that half of the chicken. And then we're only going to eat a half or a third of that
right,
chicken, even though it's a half, we're only going to eat a proportion of that. And then we'll have the other pieces for something else during the week. And I'll
right.
switch it up. One of the good ways to switch it up is to make chicken salad too.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. Chicken salad,
Hmm.
or we put it in a make a chicken salad. My mom makes hers with where she has the boiled eggs,
Hmm.
Miracle Whip, all
Yep.
that in it, and she stirs it up with a little lettuce or whatever. I do that, or I make a salad like a Caesar salad type with the chicken,
Yes.
or
Hmm.
I take it and I boil my rice with chicken broth and then put the chicken on top of the rice with the chicken broth
Right.
flavor to it. And he loves that. He doesn't know
Mhm.
what it is, but he loves it.
Right. As long as it looks different and it's not the next
Yes,
day, you can probably get away with it.
you can get away with it. I've been learning different things to hide different meals, how to cook things differently, how
Hmm.
to prepare them because he can't have all that salt with no salt. I've gotten used to eating things with the light salt. So, when I cook everything, if I really, really am working on cooking for two instead of
Hmm.
four. And sometimes when I cook spaghetti, I have this what is that spaghetti drainer thingy.
Hmm.
Well, if you get the one with the holes in it, it tells you how much noodles you need for that individual. If you got one person, two
Oh,
people, three, up. And it has on one there for two. So when I make my spaghetti now, I get my noodles and I stick them in that hole. And if it fits that
mhm.
hole, that's enough for two people. So I've started doing that instead of doing the eye thing and dropping them in because
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
overcooking. But when you're using that now, I don't overcook the pasta. And then I know now instead of using as much ground meat as I was using, I cut it down in half
Hmm.
and use half of that now. I'm trying to condense how I cook it because it was just ridiculous having so much leftovers.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
trying to cut down from leftovers. But if I do have them, then I do put them away and use them for another day, especially with chicken. Chicken, I always cook over on chicken so I can put some up for a rainy day.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I haven't
You,
done that with pork chops. I'm
well,
not sure if you
no, usually on pork chops, if I'm going to cook chops, I'll just cook two. And lately I've been getting these really huge pork chops with the bone in because I've been wanting to
yes.
get time with the bone in. And
Hmm.
then if I have pork chops with maybe some greens or some potatoes or
Uh-huh.
a whole, the whole nine
Yeah.
yards, then it's like we've not been able to eat the whole pork chop. So then you
Right.
put the pork chop in the fridge and have it another day, and it's not quite as delicious. So what I
Right.
decided I'm going to do next time is I'll see if I can get the butcher, the meat man at Kroger to cut that chop in half because they've got the equipment to do
Yeah,
that.
they do. They can do that.
And sometimes they'll cut it at no additional charge. So I'm going to
Right.
see that. If they won't, then I'll just cook one chop and then we can just share it.
Yes. Because I normally cook how many he wants, one for him, one for me for pork chops. I don't overcook them because it's just individuals. But when it comes to like the ground meat or fish, if I cook fish, now I may cook, he loves fish, so I may cook him two pieces and
Hmm.
cook me one because either I will use the mix I made to put on it and fry it in olive oil, or
Hmm.
I put it in the oven and cook it. And I tried to see if he could tell the difference. And he couldn't. I sprayed some olive oil on the fish and I put it in the oven and let it bake. And when he ate it, it was crunchy and he thought I had fried it, but I actually put it in the oven. And I've also, from my girlfriend on here, I started using my air fryer more and I will cook certain things in the air fryer.
I need to do that. I've not used my air fryer like I should. We've got the Ninja Foodie grill. And so
Oh,
we will put a steak on it or we'll put a
yes.
chop on it. And he has tried using the air fryer for potatoes and a couple other things, but I have not. So that's one of the things that I need to do this year is make some meals using the air fryer and then sharing how that works out for us.
Yeah, if the air fryer saves you time and it
Hmm.
does cook really well, because I've cooked the little drumlets. I've
Hmm.
cooked those in there. I've cooked pork chop in there, and I have cooked chicken breast in there, and it does it really well. But what I like to cook is in the evening when we want a snack, I get a flour tortilla and I
Hmm.
put a little cheese in it and make it like a quesadilla,
Oh
and I
yeah.
put it in the air fryer and I cook it that way, and it makes it really crunchy. So we have like chips to mumble on when it's just a flour tortilla. So I'm trying to get more into cooking it. See,
Okay.
you're right. Seafood prices have gone up. Shrimp, the bag of shrimp I used to get for $10, now it's right at $16 now.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't eat salmon. I can't stand the way it tastes.
Well, you guys know, anybody that has followed my channel for any length of time knows I don't eat fish. I do not eat fish. Now, I am married to the big fisherman of the Midwest. My husband, they call him Big Fish. He is such a master fisherman. And we have a freezer full of fish, and I don't eat it. The only fish I will eat is tuna for tuna salad, and that's it. Tuna salad sandwiches or tuna salad, tuna casserole. That's it. But so he cooks the fish himself.
Hmm.
He cooks all different kinds, but he mostly likes to cook bluegill. And I was talking to the lady at the seafood case at Kroger, and she said when they get it in, it's $18 a pound. At least it was. Whereas he catches it and then he just stocks the freezer for the winter time. And then he starts
Yeah.
kind of giving some away to kind of get ready for his new catch for the upcoming season. So I took a cooler full of bluegill to church with me today, all packed up for my niece so that she could cook some for her family.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, salmon is good for you, but I don't care for it. I'll
I
try to
don't
get my
like it.
calcium in other ways.
I just,
I
when
will
I
eat a
taste
salmon
it, it
okay
just,
under the
ugh.
rest.
Salmon just makes it, ugh. It just tastes so odd to me, and I cannot eat salmon. My girlfriend's always fixing salmon, always, and
My
telling me I
sons
need to
love
try
it.
it. I can't stand salmon.
My sons love it, but I just don't. So when we have fish, my husband cooks it. He does a great job.
Yes, my husband loves fish. He loves catfish, snapper, and what was the other one he likes? Um, I've tasted shark. It's not that bad.
Hmm. We got shark when we went to New Orleans, and I will admit I did try that because we were there. This was before Katrina. We had gone
Uh-huh.
there for vacation, and so I wanted to experience the cuisine and the culture there. So we went to this really nice seafood restaurant, and so I did try it. Like I just kind of did a couple little taste of it, but I
Right.
didn't. I won't say I ate a serving because I did
You
not,
taste
but I
it.
did
Yeah.
taste it.
Right.
I did enjoy some of the other foods that they have there,
That's
and
right, Pico. It's red. I couldn't think of the other one. It's red fish.
yeah, I
He
can't
loves
remember the
fish.
name of the place that we went, but he loved it. He just thought he was in heaven with all the different kinds of seafood that we could get. And so one of the things that I will do when we do go away, we'll try to find a good seafood restaurant so that
Hmm.
he can get that.
I love
But they gotta
seafood.
have some chicken so that I can bring
Dolphin.
some.
Stacey said she ate dolphin. Dolphin is
What
good
is
too. Oh my
dolphin?
goodness. You ate a dolphin?
I think of a dolphin like a dog or a cat,
Oh,
Stacy.
we eat a
Oh,
dolphin
it's
like
a
Bambi?
dolphin. Oh, poor little thing. I think of Flipper. Like who's gonna eat Flipper?
Now see, my great uncle, when we used to go to his house and visit him in the country, he would always say, "Hey, Steph, come try this. Come try this." And I would look at him. Uncle Rance, what are you trying to give me? He would say,
Well, you know,
just
my husband
taste
goes
it.
to a dinner every year. He goes to it's a bunch of guys. It's called the Wild Game Dinner. Every year he goes to a wild game dinner. I think they have it like in September or October, but it's where she's saying she's
And
dolphin
once a month?
one. Oh my. But he goes to a wild game dinner. They'll have armadillo and alligator and just all different kinds of wild game, things that we typically in the city don't think to
Right.
eat. And then they'll have some other stuff as well too.
Right.
But it's a bunch of men that he goes fishing with, or well, it's not just the guys he goes fishing with, as I think about it, because a lot of the other men in the city that have other connections show up. So I don't know how it
Yeah.
happens, but there's this big wild game dinner every year, and usually only men are there, and they go in and they eat all this odd stuff. And he always brings home a little peach cobbler for me. But other than that, I was like, no thanks, honey. I don't want any of that.
Oh yes. My uncle gave me once, he told me just taste it. It was a rattlesnake. The next
I've
time he
heard
got me,
rattlesnake is good. Now I've not tried it, but you can get it if you go to New
yeah,
Orleans.
he gave it to me. At first I thought it was chicken. Then he
Mm.
told me it was rattlesnake. Then he got me with alligator, and he tried to give me rabbit and squirrel, but we didn't make that.
I've had rabbit and squirrel because, like I said, my grandpa used to hunt. And so he would always get hunt for squirrel, for
Yes,
rabbit, for possums,
yes,
and raccoons.
right.
Because that's about what you're going to find in Indiana when you go out hunting. Now,
Hmm.
if you live in other places, you can find other things. And you can also hunt deer in certain seasons
Right.
here.
Yeah, it's certain seasons here too that you can hunt deer. But he
Hmm.
always had something different on the table. And he would always say, "Come here, girl, try this, try this."
Hmm.
And I would go, "Oh, I
Thanks,
hate
but
this."
no
He'd
thanks.
always get me. He'd always get me. Try this, try this. And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't like the way it looked." He always
Mm.
would do that to me. And then he would laugh. What did she say? Stacy says,
Mahi
"My
mahi, that's
yeah,
dolphin?
that's dolphin."
I had no idea mahi mahi
I
was
didn't know that was dolphin.
dolphin. Well, I don't eat fish, so I wouldn't order that. But
Oh my goodness. My
dolphin,
husband ordered some mahi mahi one time we went out. I didn't know that was dolphin.
oh my.
Oh
Yeah, I heard
wow.
mahi is pretty good.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
Mika said he ain't trying nothing.
Yeah, I didn't know my was dolphin. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I think you're eating dolphin fish, correct? Not the mammal. Technically, my is dolphin fish. Ew. I just think of, oh my goodness.
Hey, Frugalista, how you doing?
Yes, that's my girl. My husband is looking, he's in the game. Dolphin fish, okay. She said donuts that she won't eat it. Oh,
Oh, wait. Okay.
she said they are different. The dolphin and the dolphin fish are different.
Okay.
I did not know that. I was thinking of the dolphins that you see jumping up and doing all those little tricks and
Hmm.
stuff in the water. Oh my goodness.
Well, I won't be trying either one of them, so they're safe for me. If they got a tail and a fin and gills, they are safe for me.
I love shrimp. I love lobster and crab. And I like what I eat catfish. But it's certain
I will eat
fish.
shrimp, but I like my shrimp breaded and deep fried to kind
Yes,
of camouflage some of the fishy flavor. And
right.
I'll make my husband shrimp and grits. Usually every year I'll make that for Valentine's Day. Like I'll do a Valentine's Day brunch and I'll make him shrimp and grits. When we were in New Orleans, we got that and he really
Hmm.
liked it. And then when we were in Georgia, my daughter-in-law ordered it at one of the fancy restaurants we were at, and it was pretty good and he liked it. So I found a recipe on Cooking with AB on
Uh-huh.
YouTube. He makes a delicious shrimp and grits. So I will pull up his video and I will make it like he makes it. And I will make him shrimp and grits every year for Valentine's Day breakfast or brunch.
She says now she's going to do all the research on all the fish from now on.
Hmm.
But I don't like grits. So
Oh.
I think when I was little, my mom cooked it. And I think one day I ate so much it made me sick.
Hmm.
And since then, I haven't been a grits fan. I just now started eating oatmeal again.
Oh, I like grits. We didn't have grits very much when I was little growing up. We had cream of wheat and we had oatmeal, but we
Right.
rarely ever had grits. Maybe on a special occasion, mom would make grits. I started cooking grits more because I tell my husband he's just an old country boy. Granted, I met him here in Indiana, but he's from the South, and so his family would have grits. So I learned to cook them, and so I can cook grits pretty good. Now, the best grits I ever had though was, well, two places. One, his dad made them, and two, when I went to Kentucky for our state board exam, we got grits in a restaurant, and I thought,
Okay.
oh my goodness, they were delicious. But I like my grits with butter and sugar, and I think if you ate
Yes.
them that way, you might find them palatable. Now, there's always this big discussion: do you put salt and pepper on grits, or do you put butter and sugar? When we did have grits at home, we had it as a cereal, like
Right.
you might have rice for breakfast or cream of wheat, then you might have grits, and we had butter and sugar on it.
Right.
But yeah, AB, oh my goodness, that man can throw down.
Yes.
Hmm.
See, when we were little at home, we only ate rice for breakfast with butter and sugar.
Right.
It was rarely that mama cooked rice at dinner unless she was fixing the salmon croquette patties. And that was the only time
Oh,
we ate rice for dinner.
mom would make rice for breakfast, but we would also have it for dinner frequently as well. But if she made it for breakfast, then it had butter, sugar, and a little bit of milk in it, so it was more creamy, like a cereal.
Okay.
And so I thought you were supposed to cook rice with butter and sugar. So
Me
when I
too.
got married and I made, well, as a matter of fact, we put sugar in quite a bit of our food at home.
Yes.
So when I got married, my husband was like, this is too sweet. Stop putting in all this sugar. So I had to relearn how to cook and not put any sugar. Like I would
Yes.
put sugar in corn and drink whatever I
I
cook. I
do.
sprinkle the little sugar in it, but I
Yes.
don't anymore.
I would always put sugar in my corn and butter, and it make the kids eat it more. They ate
Yeah.
their corn. And then my brother said it made it taste like corn on the cob to him. So I've
Oh.
always put a little sugar and butter in my
Mhm.
corn. And you're right. I always try to put, hi, Keela.
Hi,
I
Keela.
always try to put a little sugar and stuff. And like my grandmother used to put it in cornbread. She would put a
Yeah.
scoop of flour and a scoop of sugar in her
Mhm.
cornbread. And it
Mhm.
also it makes the kids eat it because it tastes sweet like a cake.
Now look at Frugalista though. She
She put
likes
butter,
butter and
sugar,
salt and
butter,
pepper on
salt,
grits.
pepper on grits.
Well, look, you're gonna put the salt in the pot when you cook them, so I don't need to add
Yes.
any more salt, and then it's gonna be butter and sugar. But some people do like to put salt and pepper
Yeah.
after it's cooked, and they use grits more like a rice. But
Right. I've learned a lot meeting my husband on things that they cooked in Louisiana and in Chicago than what we cooked here. Because
oh,
I did not know anything about shrimp etouffee, crawfish,
mm-mm.
nothing about that where I came from. And dirty rice, didn't know what that was until I moved here. And
I
then
heard about it. Now,
my
where do you live,
sister,
Stephanie?
I'm in
Where are you?
Houston, Texas.
Okay, so you're close to Kenya.
Yes, Kenya stays in Tomball, I believe. She stays close to me.
Okay, okay.
Like when my sister was the one that turned us on to eating crawfish and dirty rice because she started. I didn't know
Hmm.
that, Miko. She started kind of brought it over for us to taste.
Look at Frugalista.
Didn't need no sugar. Yeah.
I suppose I must be because I'm in Indiana and that's where I was born. But yeah,
Yes, didn't know nothing about it. Didn't know nothing about it.
well, I didn't either. Not coming up in Indiana, we didn't have that.
You had
Uh,
both. Kayla said she had both. One with butter and sugar and then with salt and pepper.
well,
Wow.
they actually had a show on Roland Martin about whether you had grits with butter and
Yes.
sugar
Yes.
or grits with salt and pepper. I'm like, they had a whole show
Yes.
on his channel about that, and it was kind of funny.
It did. They went back and forth about the butter and sugar and salt and
Mhm.
pepper. And it ended up being a tie because as much people liked it with sugar and butter as much liked it with salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I think that with the Louisiana cuisines, if you're here in Texas and up toward Dallas, a lot of times you didn't know about it until you met somebody from
Mhm.
Louisiana. And then that's when you started eating it. And like I cook gumbo. I'm learning
Mhm.
to cook shrimp etouffee. Now I have had cheesy grits, and they were okay because I like cheese, and they made them really, 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 really cheesy for me, and I kind of ate it like a gulp. You know, you eat and just swallow, you don't taste,
Hmm.
because I didn't like grits.
Now, my son-in-law likes cheesy grits. He likes cheese in his grits. He likes cheese in a lot of different things, eggs, grits, and all that. I don't particularly like cheesy grits. I just like butter and sugar in my grits. When they come to the table, it's butter and sugar. Of course, you're going to salt them when you cook them. But when I make AB's shrimp and grits, you do put cheese in those grits, and I will put
Mhm.
some cheese in that to make it. So Stacy says her family is crazy about crawfish.
Yes.
Yes, it is too much work to eat them. And even crabs and lobsters, that's too much work. I've had crab before. When I
Yes.
went to Delaware, my sister and her husband took me to a place called Joe's Crab Shack.
Yes.
And they were like, had to get out the little hammer and do all this kind of stuff. I'm like, that's
Yes.
too much work. I don't want to work that hard to eat something. Now, I'm not saying
Crawfish
I
is a
never
lot of
will,
work. It is a
but
lot of work.
if I get hungry enough, if you get hungry
Yeah,
enough, you'll try just about
you'll try
anything. I'm hoping that I don't get that hungry.
it. Crawfish is pretty good. When I first saw it, I said, "Are y'all eating the things my brother used to catch in the ditch?" And
Well,
they
those
started
are
laughing.
we used to be able to catch something called crawdads in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
reservoir, but and I don't think they have those in the reservoir anymore. But they look to me like, I guess, like little crab, like little
Yes.
crayfish
When
or
I saw
something.
them, they look like the crawfish. And I said, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
the stuff Dion, my brother, used to catch in the ditch when it would rain and everything." And they just started laughing, telling me, "No, it's not the same thing." But that's what I saw.
Mhm. Mud bugs. Stacy calls
Yes.
them mud bugs. But you know what though, Stacy? I think Stacy and the other ladies brings up a good point because a lot of these foods do have a cultural
Yes.
heritage to them, and you eat foods that are indigenous to your area.
Right.
So we don't have that kind of stuff in Indiana because we get those frozen winters and the rivers freeze over, and that kind of life can't
You
winter
can't
over.
survive in that cold.
Whereas
Yeah.
in Louisiana and the different places like that, the waters are warmer year round,
Yeah.
so you tend to eat what's in the area and where you grow up. And so
Right.
in this area here, you can catch catfish, perch, bluegill, um, what other stuff? I don't know all that other stuff he catches and brings home. You would think I would know, but you get a lot of fresh, not freshwater fish, but you get a lot of fish that they catch here from the rivers and different places like
Right.
that. You can catch carp, but they don't. Most people don't eat that.
Right.
But catfish, bluegill, um, you can catch bass here, large and
Hmm.
smallmouth bass. We don't get trout here typically. They will stock the ponds with trout at certain seasons of the year.
Hmm.
And then you can hunt deer, squirrel. Right now, rabbits seem to be growing crazy because I've got white rabbits in my backyard. And at first, I thought somebody had let their pets out, but I've seen three of them in my backyard, and then I'm like, look, they just need to go somewhere else.
I know
And
that's
as
right.
cold as it's gotten, when we had that bad winter storm, they're still there.
I thought they would be hibernating by now.
Well, rabbits don't hibernate. They're around all year long, but they might live under a shed or under a bush, and then they come out and eat something when they need to, and then they go back and then they hide. And right now we've had a pretty mild winter, so we
Yeah.
haven't had much snow, but they've been out there.
Wow.
And we've had some possums. You can get raccoons, beaver. I suppose you can get porcupines somewhere, but I haven't seen any porcupines because, like I said, I live in the city, so a lot of that stuff has kind of been moved out by now. They've kind of moved further out.
Right.
And when I first moved into this area here, we still used to get quite a few deer that would come by and get your
Hmm.
garden, but we don't even get those anymore. So depending
Wow.
upon where you live and what's indigenous
Yeah.
to your area, depends upon what you can
Deer.
find.
Are you talking about deer, Stacy?
Yes, like who would eat Bambi? But you know what? People
I
do.
cannot eat deer. Oh my goodness.
Venison
One year,
has that odd taste to it.
my parents, my dad had church in Haskell, And this man killed the deer and brought them a lot of deer meat. So when my
Mm.
parents came up, who they bring it to? Me and my kids. All this deer meat. We ate so much deer meat that it was coming out of our ears. We ate so much deer meat. And I was like, I cannot eat another piece of deer meat. And a friend of mine came by. He was talking about, oh, how he loved deer meat. We gave him everything in the freezer that was deer meat. And
Mm.
till this day, me and my kids will not eat deer meat. Rabbit, you know why I won't eat rabbit?
Oh,
Because you leave it
rabbit.
out, the hair grows on it.
What?
If you leave your deer meat, your rabbit meat out overnight, the next day it has hair on it.
Oh.
When I saw that, I didn't eat it anyway, but when I saw it, I was done. I never would eat it. If you leave it out, if you leave it out overnight, hair grows on it. I thought
My
that was it.
granddad used to hunt rabbit, and he would bring us rabbit, and mom would cook rabbit stew and that kind of thing. I've not made any. I think I made rabbit stew once since I've been married. My husband, one of my husband's friends, they do a lot of fishing, and some of
Right.
his friends do some hunting, and they brought us rabbit, and so I cooked it. But I don't cook that often. Typically, I'm gonna cook beef, chicken, pork,
Uh-huh.
the stuff you can buy at Kroger. That's typically what I'm gonna cook.
Yes. She said, I'm not eating any game. I know that. Dear, no. We had deer sausage, deer links, deer patties. We had deer steak. I had deer coming out of my ear, Stacy. Oh, I can't.
But you know what? They'll look at it this way, though, Stephanie. See, we've gotten quite spoiled, and we've gotten kind of picky about what we choose to eat. Because when
Yes.
we want something, we drive to Kroger or to
And
Trader
you're right.
Joe's or whatever, and we
You're
pick it
right.
up. But when they were eating those things on a daily basis, they were eating what they could hunt and fish for and grow because that was all they had. They
Yes,
didn't have
that's
those
true.
choices. Once people moved from the country to the city, and you were able to go in Kroger and purchase your bread and buy your milk and all those kinds of things, our way of eating has changed and has not necessarily been for the betterment.
True. That's true. So true. Because um it's something that I used to eat when I was younger that I haven't, I guess I've overlooked it in the stores. And that was neck bones.
Oh, I hate neck bones. Oh,
Mother used to cook neck bones,
mom used to cook them.
and I haven't seen them at the store. Maybe they are, and I just overlooked them. But
I
that's
think
something I
they
haven't cooked
probably
in
are
years.
because Kroger's used to carry them probably in the smoked section where they have like the smoked ham hocks and smoked
I'm
bones and
gonna have
things
to look
like that.
for them
But
because
I
I want
never
to
liked
do
neck
that.
bones. They got all those strings in them.
Well, I picked the bigger ones, and um, the way I do them is I boil them with the onions and bell peppers, and when
Hmm.
they gets almost done and it's low, I put cream of mushroom soup in there,
Mm.
and then my kids loved it.
My
And have
husband
been
likes neck
years,
bones, but they grew up eating them quite a bit. And like I said, my mom used to make them as well, but they were not my favorites. And
right?
now that I have my own house, I don't have to cook that, so I
That's
don't.
true. That is so true.
My
Yeah,
husband asked me at New Year's, he said, "Well, where are the chitlins?" And I just gave him a look like, you ain't
I
getting no
know.
chitlins in this house.
Thank
You know,
you.
my cousin used to make a New Year's dinner every year, and she would invite people over, and she always had chitlins as one of the meats, but I would eat the other things. Well, she didn't have that dinner this year, so he didn't get any. So unless he can get them out, he doesn't get any.
See, my aunt used to be the one to cook chitlins, and my dad and one of my brothers and my uncles would go over to my aunt's house, and they would eat chitlins. I cannot do that. I can't do the chitlins, and I can't do the smell.
Mm-mm. So we had a question about, is pork neck bones the best?
Yeah,
And I think beef neck bones has more of the stringy parts to it, but I
yeah.
really can't say because I choose not to cook either one. But I think typically when I do have neck bones, they've been beef neck bones.
Thank you. Let's see. I'm glad my mom was a city girl.
I agree with that too. My mom was a city girl.
Well, are
Hmm.
they the same? Neck bones and pork bones, aren't they the same?
I don't think so. Because, well, I don't know, but I'll put it this way. Neck bones are the bones that come from the neck of the animal, and they're going to have a lot the nerves and those kind of things that's going to go going through those. But then there are other bones that you can get, like some of the shank bones and ham bones and things like
Right.
that from the pork and from a different part of the animal, and you can cook and make different things with that. So I don't know, but I guess it's worth googling.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're the same. That's a good question, Nancy. That's something we need to look for. Cause I don't know.
I don't think I'll be cooking either one because I
I
don't
didn't
make.
start, Denise, I didn't start cooking greens until my kids got here. When they got to be like 8 and 9, because my mother didn't cook them because daddy didn't like greens. So when I found out from the doctor that all three of us were anemic and we needed more green stuff, then I started cooking greens and Brussels sprouts. We tried Brussels sprouts, excuse me, but my kids didn't take good to Brussels sprouts, but they like asparagus. We ate cabbage
Mhm,
and greens, stuff like that. Try to keep that green in the
mhm,
family, keep that iron build up.
mhm.
I'm glad I don't eat beef or pork. I don't
I
eat any meat
checked.
at all.
I googled
The pork
pork
bones.
bones. If pork bones and neck bones are the same, and all that's coming up is pork neck bones, and they got lots of different recipes in here for pork neck bones. And the one that came up first was blackpeoplesrecipes.com, and they had this recipe on there from August of 2022 on how to make pork neck bones and bones from the neck of a pig. That pork neck bones are the meat and bones from the neck of a pig or hog, and it talks about how to cook those. So yeah, there's lots of different ways you can find to cook
Okay.
them.
Okay.
So
Well, I want to thank you, Denise, for coming on here tonight. I do appreciate it.
you're welcome.
I do so. I've learned a lot. And I will be going on your channel and getting that recipe for the bone soup. I will.
All
Because I
right,
have
you're
a
welcome.
roast I'm going to be cooking soon.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I thank you. And I want to thank everyone that came on tonight and had things to say, questions to ask. I do appreciate it. I also want to thank the people that come and watch this on replay because my replay always never lets me down. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend and hope your week starts off wonderful and you all be blessed. Bye
Uh,
bye.
Bye.